terms of today's event, we wanted the students to get to interact with stakeholders that are pushing emerging issues in supply chain that can also fit into the modules that they were doing.
When you are in academic space, there's a bit of a lack of bringing practicality around that. So there is also a gap in the industry where you find that in the lecture rooms, most of the lecturers don't necessarily have practical experience. So you need to bring an ecosystem of industry partners that will help you be able to achieve that.
So having guest lectures has expanded our knowledge outside our day-to-day corporate spaces, because you get to see how supply chain is growing, just not within our industries, but also in Africa, in South Africa, and how much impact and influence we can have.
They've got the first class knowledge, not the lecture knowledge that we gain. But if you also have people who's on the ground, people who's doing transport on the ground, you get to feel what is it that is needed in South Africa and what is needed to take supply chain to Africa.
We want in 2063, we want to start today with generations such as yourselves to forge ahead, put our energies, educate ourselves, innovate our economic systems, so that we can try and forge the Africa that we all want.
My topic was on Africa Free Continental Trade area, and in terms of how we can reposition our supply chain competitiveness in Africa and more so in South Africa, and really around what steps should we really be taking, the strategies around Africa to make sure that we become an independent country as a developing country amongst others.
What is happening now in the global space from a global supply chain perspective has actually forced us to even come closer as Africans and talk about how do we integrate our supply chains, how do we integrate and standardize practices so that we can insulate the continent from the global dynamics that are not started by us but have so many huge unintended consequences on ourselves.
And supply chain practitioners should feel empowered that this function is documented and explicitly derived from the Constitution. So if we can have that attitude and that drive, we can therefore then place the Constitution at the forefront of all the transformational endeavors that supply chain could deliver.
The biggest advantage that I saw today, it was during the student engaging with the speakers, was really a realization of the enormity of some of the supply chain challenges away from their accustomed one in their workspaces that they might face as they grow within the profession.
The one thing that they would have taken is understanding that companies and also commodities are not the ones that are running supply chains. When you look at different countries, supply chains compete against each other. For us to be successful as a country, as South Africa, we need to be able to look at our supply chains. We need to make sure that we implement proper processes to become sustainable and ethical as well.
You come into SBL as a matter of accelerating your career, but once you get here and get into study school, you get to realize that it's actually bigger than that. You want to go out there and become the leader that you always wanted to be, like become a leader that influences, that impacts, that changes the industry.
What we deal with in the classroom does not only end in the classroom, it also find expressions in the communities that are around them, and I will expect them to be brand ambassadors of not only the university or the business school, but also the program itself and the profession.